What is sex addiction and how to overcome it using yoga? This is Krish Murali Eswar. Be blessed by the divine. Sex is a normal part of the human experience. The internet and the media is flooded with sex-related advertisements, commercials, texts, lyrics, videos, sex scenes in television shows and movies. Sex is not an issue for many people, but it can cause a problem for some. Sexual addiction definition. Sexual addiction is regularly used for the problem some people have, who lack the ability to control sexual acts that are unhealthy. World Health Organization recognizes compulsive sexual behavior disorder in their official diseases list now. However, there is no official clinical diagnosis of sex addiction, making consistent identification and treatment of sex addiction a little difficult. How do we then define sexual addiction? Society and culture defines it one way. Some may consider having multiple partners, engaging in threesome or an illicit affair as sexual addiction. Some may consider this as normal, active sex life. Doctors do not agree if sexual addiction is an addiction or a compulsive behavior. The American Society for Addiction Medicine defines an addiction as the pathological pursuit of reward and/or relief by substance abuse or other behaviors. In addiction, the neurotransmitters and structure of the brain play an integral role and are affected by the addiction. Addiction leads to impairments in impulse control, judgment, and memory factor. Professionals do not have a manual for diagnosis for sexual addiction. Many in the field are sure that sexual addiction is very real, but a significant number of people believe that sexual addiction is made up to help adulterers justify their behaviors. Porn addiction versus sex addiction. What is the difference? Many people casually watch porn with no negative effects. Some become consumed with pornography. Their lives and relationships are negatively impacted. Many of them prefer porn to real-life sexual partners. Research finds that porn viewing correlates with violent attitude towards women. Porn is not sex. People who are porn addicts should not also be labeled with a sex addiction. Porn watching can lead to sexual addiction in due course of time. How sex addiction harms you? Sex addiction can lead to many problems. Sexually transmitted diseases, problems with life partnership, feeling of guilt, feeling of betrayal and deceit, feeling of shame, legal complications due to illegal behaviors in public, sexual perversion, fetishism, distress, impairment, impotency, premature ejaculation, risk of harming oneself. Sex addiction related disorders are many. Voyeuristic disorder, the act of observing nudity, undressing, sexual acts of other people secretly. Exhibitionist disorder, public display of genitals. Frotteuristic disorder, touching and rubbing one's genital against a person. Sexual masochism disorder, engaging in humiliation, bondage or suffering at the hands of another. Sexual sadism disorder, inflicting humiliation, bondage or suffering on another. Pedophilic disorder, sexual focus on children below 5 years old. Fetishistic disorder, using non-living objects such as clothing, shoes or leather for sexual arousal. Transvestic disorder, cross-dressing for sexual arousal. Sex addiction definitions are based on high levels of sexual activity, including hypersexual disorder. Here are some of the signs and symptoms of sexual addiction. Loss of control, compulsive sexual behavior, compulsive masturbation, compulsive pornography use, multiple affairs, abnormal sexual conduct. Multiple symptoms of behaviors can most certainly mean that you have a sexual addiction disorder. If your sexual behavior causes distress to you or others and disrupts your normal life, then you have a disorder to deal with. Sex addiction leads to behavioral problems. Social problems, family relations are impaired. Professionally, jobs may be affected or lost. You may have sexually transmitted diseases or unintended pregnancies. Emotionally, anxiety and depression. Legally, arrests for behaviors such as soliciting sex from prostitutes, having sex in public, and sexual harassment. Financially, spending money on porn and prostitutes, loss of pay due to impact of sex addiction. Other problems are inability to stop the sexual behavior on one's own efforts, preoccupation with sex as it becomes all-consuming, sex used as a way to escape, escalating addiction over time, riskier behaviors over time, intense behaviors over time, seeking out thriller experiences over time, missing work due to sex addiction, non-payment of bills. You may also have withdrawal symptoms. When a person tries to stop sex, he or she might experience irritability, anger, restlessness, and extreme frustration. However, there are some treatment methods. Number 1 is therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is the most commonly used form of treatment of sexual addiction. It helps in identifying triggers for sex addictive behaviors. It aims to teach learning skills to cope with these triggers. Second, psychodynamic counseling. It is driven by insightful mind reading and associated therapy. A trained mental health professional is your best starting point. Third, family therapy. Sexual addiction impacts intimate relationships. Betrayal, shame, anger, resentment, guilt, and frustration may affect the family. Hence, the entire family may need therapy. In extreme cases, one life partner may be enabling sexual addiction of the other. Family therapy will help in such cases. The next one, group therapy. It is a great choice for treating sexual addictions. You don't feel isolated with a group of people having similar sexual addiction. It can help to find errors in your thinking and causes for the addictive behavior. Others' experiences will strengthen your resolve to remain healthy. It improves communication skills with the other, helps to remove shame and guilt. Kayakalpa Yoga. This is my number 1 recommendation. The ancient secret Siddha yoga called the Kayakalpa Yoga will help to transmute sexual energy into spiritual energy. The entire yoga takes only about 10 minutes a day. It involves 2 simple practices called Ashwini Mudra and Ojo's breathing. It can be learnt in any of our 2,500 Sky Yoga centers worldwide. I teach it through online media in kayakalpayoga.com. You can sign up for the theory course for free. You can learn and practice it at the comfort of your home. Kayakalpa Yoga is the most potent method to removing obsessive compulsive sexual behaviors. Results can be seen within a few days to a few weeks for many addicts. Regular counseling and other practices will certainly help most sexual addicts. Visit kayakalpayoga.com. I must also recommend Simplified Kundalini Yoga. Sky meditations and introspection practices will increase your willpower. With the meditation methods, you can resolve to easily get out of sexual addiction. Visit simplifiedkundaliniyoga.com to find a Sky Center near you. Learn to meditate on your own life force. Do you believe you have a sexual addiction problem? Do comment on this video. I will be happy to guide you. Be blessed by the divine.